Can we talk about depression? Depression is so debilitating. It feels like you're in a deep, dark hole, completely empty inside, so there's no energy to get yourself out of it. And while you're in the depth of that depression or the depth of that hole, there's a sense of hopelessness as the mind takes over and it's like, what's the point? In today's video, I want to give you something to consider about what that depression is telling you and a potential way of moving through or moving out of that deep hole to come back to that authentic, sparkly, playful version of you. As an NLP trainer, master coach, hypnotherapist, holistic counselor, all the things, I get to walk alongside clients who have walked on that journey to get out of depression. There are some key points that you need to know about how the unconscious mind works. What is its drive, its motivation, and therefore, why has it allowed itself to sink so low? When we think about the human need to belong and to matter and to have security, these are the driving forces of our human experience. So when we're little, we will look to our caregivers on how to belong, how to matter, how to have security. And it's with their input that we plan our decisions moving forward. As a child, you don't know that, but this is exactly what's happening within understanding who you are, what motivates you, and then how to live an empowered life. Now, when I've worked with clients with depression, they carry a lot of different masks. They have tried on a variety of different ways that they should be to belong, to matter, to have security. And some of those narratives that they were told when they were little, or even growing up throughout high school and adolescence there, is like that you need to have security with a 9-to-5 job, and you need to have the house, or you need to have the whatever it is by that family's values and standards. Now, we have a look at that and we see that that person, again, driven to matter, driven to belong, driven to have that security, goes out in the world and tries those things to have that, again, the belonging, to matter, to be secure. And what they find is as they try to do all of the things that their family had said would give them security, they continue to feel empty, misunderstood, alone, and they stop asking for help because they get to the point of like, why bother? They're going to tell me another thing that I should be doing that's either out of my reach, too hard to achieve, too consuming, all of the things. So we've got this person here who's now starting to feel lost, feel heavy with all of the masks, that they're trying to meet everybody's expectations, trying to do all of the right things by everybody else, trying to have that security. And yeah, they still have that empty feeling. They don't get that satisfaction, there's no fulfillment. And it just builds that narrative again of like, why bother? It's not going to work. Now, the way through with helping loosen the grip of depression is obviously with health, like diet, exercise, good sleep, all of those things. But working with a coach or working within hypnotherapy kind of realms and processes, we actually need to go back, all the way back, to when you were craving and needing security. And that's the thing, we look outside of ourselves when we're young. Okay, tell me what to do to have that security. And when you're little, we're actually talking about that emotional security, that inner drive of what will fill me up, what will make me feel good, not the adult's world of like good money, good job, good relationships. It's like, what can I do in this now moment to matter, to be seen, to be understood, to be heard, to be considered? And so recently I've worked with a client who we traveled back in time to have a look at her childhood, where there was this moment in time, there was a family tragedy, and their unconscious mind had made a decision there that You know, I need to help others. I need to make sure everybody else is okay. I need to not ask for what I want because everybody else out there is really stressed with this family tragedy. And so what I can do to make their life easier is to not ask for what I want. Now, that in itself needed to have a bit of an expiry date because as an adult, she's still playing by that rule. She's still giving, changing who she is, trying to be everything for everybody, and then feeling quite resentful and depressed as she's just losing so much of her energy to everybody else. And so what we had to do was to go back and have a look at that snapshot in time when her unconscious mind had said, you know, don't ask for what you want. While you're feeling emotionally insecure, this is not the time to ask for that. You know, step back, let the adults do their thing, let the dust settle from that family tragedy. But unfortunately, at no point in time did those people, the adults, actually put the focus back onto that person or back onto that child. It started to be their way of life, that there was a tragedy and they go on the path of what they need to do to survive in themselves, and like the kids will just come along with us. And yeah, she had good manners. She was doing all of the things. But yet her soul, everything was saying, yeah, but what about me? Who's going to help me when I need to be heard or considered? Like, I keep minimizing my needs and I keep doing the things that you say to do to make your life easier. I'm getting the good job. I'm doing the things. I'm showing up. And so again, when we understand that we need to go back in time to have a look at that decision where previously, before the family tragedy, she was carefree, magical, joyful, laughing, just that pure childlike innocence. Then the tragedy happened, and then thereafter, limiting beliefs, limiting emotions started to take over. I like to reinforce with those clients that was brilliant in that moment, that childhood version of you created a strategy to survive that chapter. But at some point in time, instead of all of the weight and all of your focus about making it about everybody else and what they say you should do and be and all of the things, that balance needs to come back in, where instead of being all on their side, that you start to build that muscle to put yourself first, to take away the masks of the shoulds and the obligations and the duties and the family and how I should be, and almost like come back to that childlike version of yourself where you're not in the mind of taking things so seriously. You're not analyzing all of the problems and the worst case scenarios and how do I fix this and who do I be. We go back to when things were quite peaceful, easy, and dial up that confidence, dial up that self-worth, and therefore they can hold their head high, lighten their energy to come out of that deep, dark hole, and also put the invitation out to her family members to say, you know what, I'm not doing this heavy duty stuff anymore. I want to dance the dance of life. I want to be playful. I want to find the joy and the giggles and the fun and get out of that logical mind and come from that heart space where, yes, I'm saying yes to things that light me up instead of shoulding myself and doing all of the things. When she can step into that self-worth, her world is going to have this ripple effect of change where she becomes magnetic instead of heavy and depressed. The people who also want to lighten things up will want to be with her. There's no more giving to have people around. She is just her authentic self. And again, as a master coach, holistic counselor, I have seen how this type of work can create a beautiful ripple effect of change. The key point with this is that you have to be at the point in your journey where you are willing and ready to do some interesting and uncomfortable kind of face your fears and face your challenges. Because that's where we start to trust the unconscious mind, we start to trust ourselves and know that it is so important to take off the masks and create that ripple effect of change, because the future you, the playful, fun, excitable, version of you desperately wants you to meet them at that lighter level. So again, it's an absolute privilege and honor to be able to walk alongside a client when they're working through depression. It's an interesting path to work out why they got down in the hole and the path to come out into that lightness. And if you're somebody who's on that journey of depression, anxiety, burnout, check out my self-worth quiz, because in that you will be able to identify where you're giving away with your boundaries, where you're shooting yourself, where you're making everybody else the priority, and then gather some key points on what you can do to shift that balance and start to raise your self-worth. I'm Claire Chancellor, and I will talk to you later. Bye.